Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Yamunatiravanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamunatiravanachari Jai Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Prabhupada Jai Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada ki Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Gokamanande Hare Krishna. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 20th chapter, next 12. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Narancheva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashtaprayeshu Avadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyottama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki Bhinnasya lingasya guna pravaho Drabhya kriyakaraka chetanatmanaha Drishtashu sampatsu vipatsu surayo Nabhikiriyante mai baddha soridaha. What word meaning? Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki. Okay, I shall go to the translation. Bhinnasa, different lingasa of the body, guna of the three modes of material nature, prabhaha, the constant change, drabhya, physical elements, kriya, activities of the senses, karaka, demigods, chetana, and the mind, atmanaha, consisting of drishtasu. When experienced, sampatsu, happiness, vipatsu, distress, surayaha, those who are advanced in knowledge, now never bikriyante, become disturbed, mai, unto me, baddha soridaha, bound in friendship. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Lord Vishnu told King Prithu, my dear king, the constant change of this material world is due to the interaction of the three modes of material nature, the five elements, the senses, the demigods who control the senses, as well as the mind, which is agitated by the spirit soul. All these taken together comprise the body. Since the spirit soul is completely different from this combination of gross and subtle material elements, my devotees who is connected with me in intense friendship and affection, being completely in knowledge, is never agitated by material happiness and distress. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The question may be raised that if the living entity has to act as the superintendent of the activities of the bodily combination, then how can he be indifferent to the activities of the body? The answer is given here. These activities are completely different from the activities of the spirit soul of the living entity. A crude example can be given in this connection. A businessman riding in a motor car. He sits in the car, supervises its running, and advises the driver. He knows how much gasoline is used up and he knows everything about the car. But still, he is apart from the car and is more concerned with his business. Even while riding in the car, he thinks of his business and his office. He has no connection with the car. Although he is sitting there, as the businessman is always absorbed in thoughts of his business, so the living entity can be absorbed in thoughts of rendering loving service to the Lord. Then it will be possible to remain separate from the activities of the material body. This position of neutrality can be possible only for a devotee. The word baddha soridaha, bound in friendship, is particularly used here. Karmis, Gyanis, and yogis cannot be bound in devotional service. Karmis fully engage in the activities of the body. Their aim of life is to give comfort to the body only. Gyanis try to get out of entanglement by philosophical speculation, but they have no standing in the liberated position. Because they do not take shelter under the lotus feet of the Lord, they fall down from the exalted position of Brahman realization. Yogis also have a bodily concept of life. They think that they can achieve something spiritual by exercising the body through dharana, asana, pranayama, etc. A devotee's position is always transcendental because of his intimate relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, to remain always aloof from the actions and reactions of the body and engage in one's real occupation, namely rendering service to the Lord, can be possible only for devotees. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Om Vishwapadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarine Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhupaivacha Patitanang Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namo Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Yeah. Thank you everyone for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be with all of you. We are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 20th chapter. This chapter is describing Lord Vishnu's appearance in the sacrificial arena of Maharaj Prithu. So Lord Vishnu appeared, and Lord Vishnu is instructing Maharaj Prithu, and he's saying Bhinnasya Lingasya Guno Prabaho. He's saying the constant change of this material world is mainly Guna Prabaha, because of the interaction of the three modes of material nature. And then he explained the 5 elements, senses, and the demigods who control the senses, as well as mind, which is agitated by the spiritual soul. All this taken together comprise the body. So Prabhupada, in the purport, Prabhupada, he gave the example of a businessman riding in the motor car. So he is aware of everything, whatever is there in the motor car, gasoline, and the different parts of the motor car, or even about the driver, about the engine. But he is busy, absorbed in the thoughts of his business. So therefore, Prabhupada gave this example. We may live in this physical body, but we should be absorbed in thoughts of rendering loving service to the Lord. Otherwise, in this material world, everyone busy with the body, deha patyakalatradishu Atma sanneshu asassopi tisham paramatanidanam pashan opina pashyati. Bhagavatam says, those who are extremely busy with deha and body and something related to their body, their relatives, family, and others. So they they think Atma Sanyasu Asaswapi. They think all my relatives, family members, everyone, they're like my soldiers. And Atma Sanya. Prabhupada was giving lecture on this verse. Prabhupada says, like we have the country, a country, they have their own soldiers, warrior, armed forces. Similarly, because of our extreme attachment to body and the objects related to body, we consider they are also like my soldiers, and we think that they can protect us, they can save us if there is any difficulty in my life. But because of their excessive attachment to the family members and body, it says Pashyan Tisham Pramatanidanam Pashyamapina Pashyati. Although upcoming death is coming, yet they can't see their upcoming death because of their too much attachment. We have the example of Gajendra. Gajendra, he had all the facilities. In fact, Prabhupada wrote in Bhagavatam, Prabhupada said, everyone in this material world, they want to lead a life like Gajendra. Gajendra had, all sort of prestige, power, and had the strength of 10,000 elephant in his body, a loving family, relatives. He had control over the whole forest and thousands of wives, children's, prestige. So all sort of material happiness. And Prabhupada wrote, he had actually all types of 5-star facilities. So everyone, we in this material world, we want to lead a life like Gajendra. But Prabhupada said, now this Gajendra, he found himself trapped in the jaws of a crocodile. And that is the cruel truth of this material world. So he was thinking that these people, they can protect me, they can save me. When crocodile attacked Gajendra, and Gajendra was thinking this crocodile is nothing, it's tiny crocodile, I can smash him very quickly. And he was fighting for 1,000 years. And gradually his strength was reducing and crocodile's strength was increasing. But yet he was hopeful. He thought, no problem, I have my many thousands of wives, children, and they can take care of me, they can save me, they can protect me. But unfortunately, Bhagavatam says, Tatha Turam Yuthapatim Karena Vikrishmana Balasa. So they were just standing on the bank of the lake and they are crying. And they are just watching how their father, their husband, and their relatives, Gajendra, is dying. So Prabhupada in Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, 7th verse, Karpanna Dosha Apahatahi Sabhava. On that verse, in the purport, Prabhupada made a very powerful and beautiful statement. Prabhupada said, those who thinks their family members, relatives, can protect them from the upcoming death, or they can protect their family relatives from the upcoming death, that is called skin disease. Prabhupada said, Charma Rog, Prabhupada said, So because of our attachment to the body, therefore, now we think, I am extremely connected with this, people. But in this, verse, is saying this interaction happens, because of 3 modes of material nature. And Prabhupada gave this example, this businessman always absorbed in the thoughts of his business, although he is completely aware of the kar. Similarly, a devotee, although we in this material world, always be absorbed in thoughts of rendering devotional service to the Lord. These sort of happiness we derive from body and object connected to body is like this is a drop of water in the midst of desert. There is a song written by Vidyapati. Vidyapati was one of greatest poet. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to listen the songs of Vidyapati. So he says, Tatala Shaikati Bari Bindu Sama Sutamit Ramani Samaj. This is this so-called, happiness we derive from the association of, family, relative, children's wife. It's like, Tatala Shaikati. That, very, is in desert, especially in summer season when scorching heat, and the sand becomes even more hot, and someone is, searching for water in the midst of desert, and there is no water, and it's scorching hot, sands become very hot, extremely hot, and if a drop of rainy water falls, that is not going to quench the thirst. But he says, this so-called happiness in this material is like, a drop of water in the midst of, now extremely hot desert. You know. So therefore, he gave this beautiful example, Srila Prabhupada, that one may be, doing everything, but he should render devotional service. He should be absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna, although doing everything in this material world. Says, Iha yasya harir dasya karmana manasa gira nikhilashya api avasthashu jivan mukta sauchate. So with the karma, mana, and gira, with the word. Now, if we if we render devotional service unto Krishna, and although we'll live in this material world, but he is considered to be Jivan Mukta. He is liberated even by living in this material world, because karma, man, and bachan, he is engaging in the service of Lord. So sometimes we say it, body, mind, and words, like BMW. So BMW, you can very, comfortably, you can ride from one place to another place, So if we engage BMW, body, mind, and words in the service of Krishna, we can very easily, ride. You can very easily cross this material world and go back to spiritual world. So that's why Prabhupada says, one may remain in this material world, but should be absorbed in the thoughts of rendering loving service to the Krishna. We have the example of, Ambarish Maharaj. Sabai Mano Krishna Padar Vinda Bachan Shivaikuntu Gunana Varnane Karo Harir Mandir Marjana Adisho. So this way he was engaged, he engaged all his, senses, bodily organs, bodily limbs in the service of Krishna completely. Although he was king. So this is, this is best way to remain aloof from all sort of, material, engagements. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in one place, he says, Deha smriti nahi jan bhavavandan kahatar. Those who don't have, bodily bodily concept, they are completely free from this material world. As soon as we become free from bodily concept, we are free. But it's very difficult actually. Prabhupada gave another example also. This, everyone is busy in this material world with body. They don't care about the soul, which is our, real identity. Jivesh Swarup Hai Krishna Nityadas. In Bhagavatam 5th canto, Rishabdev says, Aham Mameti. Umsham Istri Mithuni Bhavam Etad. Atham Griha Shitra Siddhavta Vittir Janasya Mohaya Maham Mameti. So because of our excessive attachment to Griha Kshetra Suta Apta, the house and the working field of the relatives, the children's, people, they forget the goal of, ultimate goal of life. And they develop the concept, only one concept, Aham Mameti. It's Aham Mameti. So Aham Mameti means I and mine. This concept is so prevalent everywhere, I and mine, Like nowadays, see, in everywhere this word is there, I and mine. If you want to, become successful in any business, material business, you just use I and mine. Like, we have iPhone, iPod, iPad, my, make my trip, my app. So why these concepts are developing? Because, as Rishabdev says, because of their excessive attachment. So people believe if something is there, I and mine, they consider is my property. So therefore, Janasya Mohayam Aham Mameti. So they develop this concept that I and mine. But but those who are not influenced by the three modes of material nature, as is spoken in this verse, they never have this concept I and mine. Everything belongs to Krishna. Ishavasam idam sarvam. Everything belongs to Krishna. Therefore, they never consider this is mine. This I am this. We have example of four Kumaras. And they went to the gate of Vaikuntha. Jai Vijay stopped, and in their conversation, these four Kumaras, they are shocked. And Jai Vijay stopped them, and four Kumaras said, we never heard about this because they are so innocent. As soon as they appeared in this material world, Brahma requested them to get involved in creating population, but they refused the instruction of Brahma. They straight went towards the spiritual world. So they are totally innocent and free from all sort of material contamination, completely pure-hearted. And they went this Jai Vijay stopped them in one conversation. They said, no, we never heard this thing I and mine, because you were saying this is your the abode of all of you, and we can't enter into this abode. So therefore, they said, since you have this concept of I and mine, and we never heard of I and mine. So this four Kumar is so innocent, they never heard about I and mine. And for us, conditioned soul, we can't spend a single minute without I and mine. 24 hours we are busy with I and mine. And these four Kumaras, they said, since you have this concept of I and mine, therefore you are not qualified to stay here in Vaikuntha. You have to go to the material world, because in the spiritual world there is no concept of I and mine. Everything is Krishna's, and that is the main difference between the spiritual and material world. So those who have this I and mine consciousness, they can never elevate themselves to the spiritual world, because this concept will not work. Krishna is the center of everything. So therefore, same thing, what Prabhupada says in the fourth, Krishna told Arjuna. He wanted to give up the fight, but Krishna says, Tasma sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmarati yuddhacha. My dear Arjuna, you don't have to give up. Whatever you are doing, just continue to do. But mam anusmarati yuddhacha. You fight, but remembering me. While fighting, you just remember me. Mam anusmarat yuddhacha. You don't have to give up yuddha. So Prabhupada gave this example of this businessman riding in a motor car. The vehicle is same. So his business, everything is going on, but he is aloof from all these things, although he is completely aware. So similarly, Krishna told Arjuna, you do everything, but remember me. Don't get involved with the result and the action reaction of the war. Leave it up to me. You just for my sake, you just fight. So similarly, whatever we are doing, any sort of activities in this material world, we definitely have to be aware of whatever we are doing, but we should remain completely aloof from this. And then the example is Prabhupada given in the four purposes. Of course, the Lord is free from all this thing. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna gave a few examples. One is he says, Yatha kasho sthita nityam. He says, it's like a sky. Krishna has created this whole material, nature, and he is involved directly because he has created everything. But at the same time, he is, completely aloof from everything. Like he gave the example of sky. So under the sky, you see whatever creation we see in this, whole Earth planet, even, all the all sort of arrangement we see in this material world is actually under the sun. But you can see sun is, totally aloof. It's not touching the sun. Sun is just above, So Krishna is like, sorry, not sun. Krishna is like in a sky. So it's within the sky, everything in this material world, whatever creation we can see. But the sky is still aloof from everything, whatever is happening in this material world. And then another example, he says, Padma Patra Ibambasa. It's like, lotus leaf. So lotus is there in the water, but the water can't touch the lotus leaf. You put some water water will fall immediately. So devotee, although remains in this, everything in the middle of, all this material activity, but he is completely aloof from, he is not involved. We have the example of, Raghunath Das Goswami in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first time. Raghunath Das Goswami, when he heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu from Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur used to visit, their village, and Haridas Thakur used to give lectures time to time. So when he heard about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he became attracted, and he actually he was trying to escape home many a times, but his father was very powerful, he was a rich man, he was, landlord at that time, and he caught him and he brought him back many times. He tried to escape from house at the middle of the night. So Raghunath Goswami, he was that time one of the richest man. This is Indra Sama Ashwarya or Istri Apsara Sama. His, richness was compared with the opulences of Indra, king of heaven, and Istri Apsara Sama. His wife was like the angels of heaven. But still, these two cannot bind him. He was completely detached. So one day when he tried to escape, and his father brought him back, and his father was tied him with the rope, with the pillar. So his mother came, Raghunath Das Goswami's mother, and Raghunath Das Goswami's mother told his father, "What are you doing?" He says, "I am just tiding him so that he can't escape again." Then Raghunath Das Goswami's mother, she was an intelligent lady, so she told his father, "See, these two things, the opulences like Indra and wife like angel, which could not bind him, how can you bind him with a simple rope? It's not possible. Because Janmadata Pitanara Prarabdha Khandaite." You can't actually do anything, whatever is written in his Prarabdha. If it is written in his Prarabdha that he will go to Mahaprabhu, he will renounce the so-called household life, with rope, or no matter how powerful rope is there, you can't bind him. So anyway, finally, he tricked his parents in one occasion with his spiritual, their family guru, Yodunandan Acharya, and he tricked and finally escaped. He successfully escaped the home. So he then, he was going towards Jagannath Puri so that he can meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He was extremely happy. Finally, he could, escape from house. But when he arrived in Jagannath Puri, close to Jagannath Puri, he heard that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left for Vrindavan. So he again started his journey towards Vrindavan, and then when he arrived close to Vrindavan, he heard Mahaprabhu left Vrindavan. He was totally surprised. All these years I was trying to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, escape home, but now I successfully escaped home. Now I can't meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It seems that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he doesn't want to meet me. So therefore he was very sad, very more, as he came to the Panihati, and then this festival happened, Panihati Chedadeva Mahotsav, by Nityananda Prabhu's mercy. And he got the darshan of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then, the point I was making, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then gave him beautiful instruction, like what Prabhupada says here, is very important. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, especially for the householders. Two very important instruction Prabhupada Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Dheer Bhaiya Ghare Jao Na Ho Batul. Why you become so, so mad? Batul means mad. Why you have become so much, mad? You should go back to home. You should become dheer. You should keep passion. You should not, artificially, give renunciate everything. Dheer haya ghar jao na ho batul, krame pailo bhava sindhukul. So don't worry, slowly, gradually, you will find how to cross this material ocean. You will find the goal of your life, how to attain the favor of Supreme Lord. So you should not become impatient. And then, this is first instructions he gave. And second one, he says, Antarinishta kari, Antarinishta kara baihi lok vyavahar. So this is very important, which, Prabhupada talks about this for fourth. He said, for us, what should you do? Antarinishta kara baihi lok vyavahar. In our heart, we should be very sincere. We should sincerely practice Krishna consciousness and baihi loka vyavahar. And externally, we should, deal with mundane people. So these two are very important, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions, and especially for the householders. The Antarinishta Baihi Loka Vyavahar. So externally, you have to associate with mundane people. You have to behave like a materialistic person. But internally, you should, maintain sincere devotional service. So for brahmacharis and sannyasis, it's, even for banprasthis, they have to display renunciation internally and externally. But here Mahaprabhu says that for the householders, is internally they should display renunciation, but externally sometimes they have to behave like a materialistic mundane person. And then so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had told these, Raghunath Das Goswami, he came back to home actually. And he said, he became almost Bishai Prai. And by the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was, dealing with his father and uncle and their business. He was taking care of their business for 1 whole year. But as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, internally he was maintaining sincere devotional service. But still, his, thought was, completely, the instruction of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how can I, skip again? But that whole 1 year, he became almost Vishay. That's what the description. So therefore, externally, like Prabhupada gave the example that the businessman riding in the car, he is, he appears externally, he is involved with the car, but he is not actually. While sitting in the car, although he is aware of everything, but in his mind, his, business planning is going on. He is always absorbed in the thoughts of business. So therefore, this is very important, and therefore, association is very important. In some, Puranas, this example is given. You might have heard this example. This example of, fighting between snake and mongoose. इसको सांप नेवले की लड़ाई. So snake and mongoose is very famous now. In the villages of India, people goes to see, the fighting between snake and mongoose. See this fight, snake and mongoose. Although snakes are powerful, snake is powerful here. Snake can kill the mongoose anytime. But ultimately, in the fight between mongoose and snake, mongoose actually defeats the snake. Why? Because when snake and mongoose, they comes first, they start fighting. So snake, bites, mongoose. So mongoose get, poison in the body. Mongoose, get the poison in the body. So, just 1 second, someone. Okay. So, sorry. So then, mongoose, when snake bites mongoose, then mongoose, what they do? They don't fight. They don't fight with a snake. They immediately go back to the forest. And inside the forest, what they do, they know, certain types of, what is called herbs are there. The herbal plants are there. So they touched and they eat. Sometimes they choose some, plants and leaves of the herbs, and that will, nullify the reaction of the poisons. And they come back again and they fight with the snake again. So second of snakes, snake puts, poison in the body of mongoose. Mongoose again goes back. And then mongoose again comes back after, nullifying the reaction of poison. So, so again and again mongoose come back, but snakes becomes tired. And the snakes keeps on biting. So slowly, mongoose, drag, these snakes, concentration towards the forest. So when it goes inside the bush, then mongoose, they with sharp teeth, mongoose cut the body of snake and eat the snake actually. So this example is given why? Because you know we are like those who are dealing with material in material world, working outside and dealing with people and mundane people. So we are like mongoose. We are like mongoose, and these materialistic people, they will keep on biting us again and again, like envious snake. But we have to go to the herbs again and again, and that herb is devotee association, chanting the holy name of the Lord, or reading scriptures. So, and this poison, otherwise this poison is polluted. For the poison is compared with polluted consciousness. So these snake is compared with materialistic people, association of mundane people, and the mongoose is compared with the devotee, and poison is compared with the polluted consciousness, and the herbs is compared with devotee association and scriptures. So these type of people, they will keep on biting us, but no, we have to remain in the society of devotees. Then only we can remain aloof from all sort of material activities, as Prabhupada mentioned here. Otherwise it will be very difficult. It will be very difficult. So this why Prabhupada said this on program schedule, morning, evening sadhana. Prabhupada said once, this is kind of sandwich formula. So morning, evening, sadhana, and daytime service, whatever I do. Those who are in temple, they will render service in the temple. Those who are outside, they will work. So like so we have to charge up very nicely before going out. Before going out and deal with materialistic people. Fully charge them in morning, chanting, hearing, Mangalarti, all this thing. And then evening also when you come back, just like nowadays, when you go somewhere in a hotel or resort, first thing, two things people ask. One is where is this charging point, another is Wi-Fi password. So we need to charge up in the morning fully in the association of devotees, hearing, chanting, worshipping the deities. And because whole day will associate with mundane people, it will goes down, it will go down. So as soon as we come back, immediately you have to put in charge again. Otherwise, it will be difficult. So therefore, no, this is very important. In this verse, Lord Vishnu is telling Prithu Maharaj, how he can remain aloof from bodily conscious of life. So another example, just remembering Prabhupada said in this regard, like gopis of Vrindavan. See, gopis of Vrindavan, although they were married to some other person, but their mind is totally absorbed in the thought of Krishna. Totally in the thought of Krishna. So although they were dealing with everything, their in-laws, husband or other relatives, whatever they are instructing, they are very busy, but their mind is completely absorbed in the thought of Krishna. Grihe grihe gopabodhu samoha pratikshanat. So 24 hours, all the gopis of Vrindavan, they were thinking about Krishna. They're singing the glories of Krishna. But then Prabhupada said, their husband, especially their in-laws, mother-in-laws, and other, they're very critical. Like we have the example of Jatila Kutila, Radharani's in-laws. So they are extremely critical because they don't want their daughter-in-law should meet Krishna. But what they used to do, Prabhupada said, in externally they used to show that they are doing they're handling all the family household affairs very nicely, so that their family members, they can at least allow them to go to Yamuna, take water, so that they can see Krishna. So then Prabhupada, he explained, sometime he says, he gave one mundane example. Sometime in this material world, when a wife has illegal relationship with someone else other than her husband, and sometime what she does, that unchaste woman, she kind of she, when husband comes or in front of in-laws, she works sincerely. She try to show them, I am doing all the household affairs, I am taking care of all the household affairs very nicely, so that they don't doubt. So Prabhupada narrating this example, he says, similarly in this material world, sometime, like we give the example of Raghunath Das Goswami, sometime, we should, act like a deal with mundane people, materialistic people. But, internally, our thought should be in Krishna. Like the Gopis of Vrindavan, Raghunath Das Goswami, or Prabhupada gave the example of, businessman, But, one should be extremely careful because these, examples are for the exalted personalities like Raghunath Das Goswami. See, he was there at home for 1 whole year. He was acting like a mundane person, materialistic person. But again, after 1 year, he developed renunciation. But the problem with us is now when we deal with anything material, we become totally entangled on that material object. But Raghunath Das Goswami was not, because for certain period, for certain stage, we can deal with mundane people, materialistic people, but not for whole life. Not for whole life. At some point we have to fully engage, fully dedicate our life, energy, everything in the service of Krishna. So after 1 year, Raghunath Goswami still remember Mahaprabhu. You told me, So I did. I fulfilled my responsibility. Now I want to come back to you. Mahaprabhu accepted him later on. So that's why this this is very important that one can how remain in the association of mundane people, but not to be influenced by them. Like this example, this monkey, this monkey and crocodile. Monkey and crocodile, they used to live in the same forest. Monkey and crocodile, they became very close friend. And one day, she crocodile, the wife of crocodile, she told, I heard that the heart of monkeys are very tasty, delicious, very good for health. I want to eat your friend monkey. So the crocodile told monkey, my dear friend, you have never seen the other side of the river. It's very beautiful, full of fruits, so many other foods you can find other side of the river. Monkey said, I can't cross the river, I can't swim. Then crocodile said, no problem, you just sit on my back, I will take you other side of the river. As he sat on the back, he came in the middle of the river. Then she crocodile appeared. And then crocodile said, my dear friend, extremely sorry, my wife wanted to eat you, eat your heart. So therefore, please forgive me. Monkey was very intelligent. He said, no problem, my dear friend, you are my only friend in this forest, best friend. And therefore, I am ready to sacrifice my life for your sake and for the sake of your wife. But the problem is we monkey people, whenever we go out, we don't carry our heart. We keep our heart on the top of the tree. So this foolish, crocodiles, both of them, husband and wife, they believed, it's okay, let's go back, bring your heart. He climbed into the tree. He said, no, I will never come back. I will never associate with you. So sometime, we may have to, associate with, mundane people, materialistic people. We may even, become close to them. We may sometimes even become extremely intimate with them, but don't give your heart. This story is telling. Actually, Prabhupada used to tell this, and don't give your heart to mundane people. Don't reveal your heart to mundane people. You may associate, you may become close, you may become even intimate, but when it comes to share our heart, don't. That's what Rupa Goswami says. Guhyam akhati prachati. One should reveal the heart only to the devotees, only to the confidential devotees, only to the exalted devotees, because they are our real well-wisher. Not everyone. And that's what here it says. The last paragraph, it says the word Baddha Sorida. Hare Krishna, someone can tell me when should I stop?
Trudy, if you like, you can continue, no problem.
It's not I like, if you all like. So because it's working
So
day.
it continues up to for an hour normally. So you have only come still there 13 around 15 minutes is still there.
Okay. Just remind me because I want to finish on time. So in last paragraph, Prabhupada mentioned that the word Baddha Sori, the bound in friendship, is particularly used here. So the devotees, because of their friendship, because of their friendship and because of their affection for Krishna, Prabhupada said, and the last line says, no bikri ante mai baddha sorida. Bikri ante means, they are never disturbed by all these material changes, bodily changes, namely happiness and distress. So because of their friendship and affection for Krishna, unlike these karmis, gyanis, yogis, they cannot be bound by material happiness and distress. So in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna spoke about this. He said, to Arjun, this about happiness and distress. Matra spashastu kantya, shit ushna sukha dukkada, agama payana dvanityas, twam titiksha bharata. So these, all sort of, problem in this material world is kind of, is dualities of this material world. So these sort of dualities will come, but a devotee who is, completely absorbed in the thought of Krishna is never disturbed. It's never disturbed. It's these are non-permanent. Therefore, Krishna told Arjuna, you should maintain, you should maintain, patience, because you can't do anything, because this is the nature of this, material world. So it's not in your hand, basically. So therefore, one should not be disturbed by, like non-permanent appearance and disappearance, like, happiness, distress, honor, dishonor, pleasure, pain, victory, defeat, success, failure, attraction and aversion, health, good health and disease. So these appears, Krishna says, shit, ushna, sukha, dukkhada. It appears like, winter and summer season. So therefore, one must learn how to tolerate them without being disturbed. Because we are living in the world which is, world of dualities. Which is world of dualities. So one cannot escape the dualities. So therefore, therefore, because we can't do anything with all this, problems. It will come and go, like, winter and summer. And so when winter comes, we feel, it's extremely cold. When will summer come? When summer comes, it's so hot, when will winter come? So, but a devotee matters to people, they get disturbed by all this thing. But a devotee is never disturbed, because he knows these all are anitya. These all are in temporary. So therefore, in the this verse, speaking, my devotee who is connected with me in intense friendship and affection, being completely knowledge, is never agitated by material happiness and distress. Another verse in Krishna says, Sukhe dukhe samay kritya lava lavo jaya jaya. So sukhe dukhe, one should be, equal. But it's difficult, in this material world. When you are in happiness, we become extremely excited, overwhelmed. But when you're in distress, we become more and sad. So one who is great devotee of Krishna, he can remain, equal in happiness and distress. He can remain equal in happiness and distress. We have, the example of, many examples actually. Srivas Thakur from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's first time, the great devotee. Srivas Thakur's house, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to perform Sankirtan every night. And in one occasion, in the evening, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just started the Sankirtan, Srivas Thakur's only son, had left the body. And all the ladies in the house, inside the house, they called Srivas Thakur. Srivas Thakur went inside and he found his son is dead. So all the ladies, Srivas Thakur's wife, Malini and others, they were crying. And Srivas Thakur said, stop crying. See, his only son died, can you imagine? And he is totally detached. They are called real devotees. So he told, see, my son had died, I don't have a problem. But if you all cry, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Kirtan stopped, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu get to know, he will stop Kirtan. If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stops, my Lord stops Kirtan because of your crying, I will jump into the Ganges, I will quit my body. Such a great devotee, So he said, I don't bother my son had died, but Mahaprabhu's Kirtan should not get stopped. So he came back to Kirtan on the courtyard. And all the devotees, they are playing, they're doing Mridanga Kartal Kirtan. But although he told not to tell anyone, but slowly, slowly, one by one, everyone, they got to know Srivas Thakur's son had died. So as they're listening this news, their hands trembling. They are unable to play kartal, mridanga, flute, and other instrument. Why? So because it's not because of Srivas Thakur's sons had died. It's because they're looking at Srivas Thakur. By seeing Srivas Thakur's detachment and love, attachment for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Kirtan and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they completely shocked. Such a great devotee, and not at all disturbed by this death of his son. So, and slowly, slowly, and everyone is looking at Srivas Thakur. They can't play properly in rhythm. And suddenly, it became almost early morning, just after midnight. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told, I can't focus on Kirtan. Why something I can't get, taste in Kirtan today in chanting and dancing. Something has happened here, And the devotee said, Mahaprabhu, actually Srivas Thakur's son had died. Mahaprabhu says, when? And this is in the evening. Evening, it's been already few hours, quite a few hours, 6-7 hours. Why didn't you tell me? And they told Srivas Thakur, told us not to tell you, otherwise you will stop Kirtan. And Mahaprabhu, the first thing what Mahaprabhu tightly embraced Srivas Thakur. And Mahaprabhu said, Hano Bhakta Sangam Chadimaki. How can? Because after that, Mahaprabhu decided to take sannyas. He didn't reveal anyone for the first time. Unintentionally, from Mahaprabhu's mouth, this what came out. How can I leave association with such a great devotee who has a lot of affection for me, and I will take sannyas? And that time, everyone got to know that Mahaprabhu is planning for sannyas. And then Mahaprabhu told Srivas, why didn't you tell me? And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and inside the house. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Srivas Thakur's wife and other family members crying. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu touched the body of the dead son of Srivas Thakur. And then he came back. He became alive. And everyone was shocked. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked that, boy, why are you leaving your parents? And he said, Mahaprabhu, who is my father? Who is my parents? Who is my mother? They are parents for this life. In previous life, I had another parents. Next life, I will have another parents, father and mother, relatives. But you are my only father, only mother, my dear Lord. And after saying this, he again became dead. So this is, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, special first time, he wanted to show everyone, nothing, no relationship in this material world is actually permanent. Only Lord is our, real, real, asset. So then, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in order to pacify Srivas Thakur's wife, especially Malini, he said, don't worry, Srivas, that you have lost one son, but from today, myself and Nityananda Prabhu, from today onwards, we both have become your sons. Anytime you call me, we will be present. So Mahaprabhu, he is he is present in 4 places. Always his places. Those who are fortunate soul, they can still see. Srivas Angane, in the courtyard of Srivas Thakur, and Sachir Randhane, whenever Sachi Mother cooks, and Raghav Bhavane, Raghav Pandit's house, and Nityananda Nartane, whenever Nityananda Prabhu dances. In these 4 places, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, always he is present, So he gave this special benediction, you lost one son, but we both, from today onwards, we will become your son. Anytime you call, we will be present immediately, So the point is that, here Prabhupada is saying, because of their friendship and affection for Krishna devotee, they are, they are, they're totally separate from the activities of the material body, and they are not bother about anything. So like Srivas Thakur example, because of his affection and love for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, anything related to body relative happens, it doesn't affect him. We have another beautiful example in same Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's wife. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one day he was honoring prasadam, and then this what is called Sarvabhauma became devotee. His son-in-law Amok came. He was criticizing. He was criticizing, what type of sannyasi you are. You are eating the food of 10 persons. You are a sannyasi. And Sarvabhauma, he could not notice when his son-in-law entered into the room. He took a stick and he was chasing him. Murkha, foolish, go away. You are criticizing my Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And Sarvabhauma's wife, who was serving Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, she got disturbed because she was serving. She cooked so nicely, so many preparations. Now, because of her son-in-law, Mahaprabhu's prasadam meeting disturbed. See, she was such a great lady. She was slapping on her chest, and she was calling, "Oh, my dear Lord, I want my daughter should become a widow." Can you imagine? Can any mother pray like this? And she was saying, "Shati Randi Hog Bale Barbar," again and again, "My dear Lord, I want my daughter should become a widow." Because he criticized my Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So they are real devotees of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. No attachments, although they are, dealing with everything, family matter in the family life, but their whole and soul attachment is for Lord. So therefore, this word Prabhupada says, Baddha Sorida is very important, bound in friendship. So because of the friendship with Supreme Personality of Godhead, they, they are not at all, attached to bodily concept of life. But then Prabhupada said at the end, karmi, yogani, yogis, because of although they perform this, religious activities, but they have a bodily concept of life. They have a bodily concept of life, especially Prabhupada saying yogis and gyanis, bodily concept of life. Prabhupada told one story. This they two, mendicant. They left everything, their family, relatives, oil, and everything. They went to Himalayas. They're performing, performing their yoga sadhana, this asana pranayam, everything. So they didn't have anything. They didn't have anything. They because in the Himalayas, these sadhus, they don't have any even external clothes, garments. They are using only kopin, a small cloth, kopin. So these two mendicants, they're living in side by side, two inside the two caves. And one day they were drying their kopins outside of the cave. And the one mendicant came out, and he, by mistake, he took another mendicant's coffin. And the another mendicant, when he came out, he could not find his coffin, and they were fighting with each other. How dare are you touch my coffin? How dare are you take my coffin? The Prabhupada said, these guys, see, these yogis, they left everything behind. Their oiled family, relatives, now they're fighting for the coffin. So it's still Prabhupada, said in the last line, see here. Yogis also have a bodily concept of life. They think they can achieve something spiritual by exercising the body through dharana, asana, pranayama, etc. So finally, last line Prabhupada says, a devotee's position is always transcendent because of his intimate relationship with the Supreme Lord. So this word here, Baddha Swarida, the meaning is because of friendship and affection. The same one exactly Krishna told about Arjun. He says, Bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hi etaduttamam. So, Arjun, why I am revealing all this transcendent knowledge to you? Because you are my devotee, at the same time you are my friend. So when one becomes a friend and devotee, exactly the same thing he says, affection like a devotee and friendship, then only, and same thing Prabhupada said here, being complete in knowledge, then only one can receive the transcendent knowledge completely, as is spoken by Krishna to Arjun. So, rahasyam hi etad uttamam. Then only rahasya, the confidential knowledge, will be revealed to us if we have love for Krishna and we have like a friendly relationship with Krishna. And then finally, Prabhupada said, therefore, remain always aloof. Therefore, to remain always aloof from the actions and reactions of the body and engage in one's real occupation, namely rendering service to the Lord, can be possible only for devotees. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki, Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Samavita Bhaktavinda ki, Hare Krishna. I think we should finish here. Time is over. Any comments? Any question? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Carry on, carry on.
No, please carry on, Prabhu. You carry on first.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandot Pranam. Welcome to Auckland.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
First lecture I was hearing from you was such a wonderful lecture. There's a small text, but it has so deep meaning, and you have explained the meaning, each and everything, right from the beginning, with so many examples, clarifying the devotee's position so nicely with the examples, various examples, and finally concluded, whatever you do, it doesn't matter where you are in this material world or in the spiritual world. The connection is more important than you're living in this existence. So you may be in this existence, but your heart is with the Lord. So that is what the sum and substance of this text. Thank you so much for beautifully explaining.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Dhanavad.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for a very nice class. And particularly pointing out at the beginning that how a common person is attached to his body, and as a result of which because of the illusion, he doesn't understand his real position. And you have given the example of what Yudhishthira Maharaj has told, Ahani Ahani Bhutani Gachanti Bhutani Gachanti Yamalayam Shesha Sthavaram Ichanti. That means although people are every day dying, but we think that our position in this material world is permanent, and we try to behave in that way under the spell of illusion. But the real person, a knowledgeable person, never attach himself with this duality of the material life and understand his relationship with the Lord. And you have also quoted the Bhagavad Gita's 5:10, Brahmani Adaya Brahmani Sangam Tatta Karotija. Like a water on the lotus leaf. He doesn't attach himself. He knows his real position, and his real duty is to connect with the Lord. And by his activities in this material world, he remains detached with the material things. And you have very nicely given the example of Raghunath Das Goswami, who in spite of his wealth, in spite of a good wife, and in spite of so much attachment from the parents, with love for the parents, he was totally renounced. And in spite of all material things, he was connected with the Lord always, and he never forgot his responsibility or the duty and he is an example before us. And thank you very much, Prabhuji. That's all for me. If any other people has any other comments, they can make. Thank you.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Surit Krishna Das, Dandat Pranam Prabhu. Prabhu, you touched upon a very important and very practical contemplating point, is how we are instructed to, although we are in this material world and connected to material things, to do our normal day-to-day duty, especially as grihasthas, we have to keep ourselves aloof and focus on the transcendental subject matters, Krishna Katha and our chanting. Prabhu, on a practical level, we know this. We know that we have to do this, but somehow or the other, we are always bound in this entanglement. We get attached, and when we are doing our duties, it is very difficult to dissociate and come back. Although we are doing our morning sadhana and other things are there, but still the attachment is still there. So, do you have any practical viewpoint on how we can slowly develop that detachment and attachment simultaneously, being totally associated with material life on a day-to-day basis as grihasthas?
I think you all know all answers, but still you ask for everyone. I just can think of two answer at this moment. One is, I always spoke that morning and evening sadhana as prescribed by Srila Prabhupada. Like morning and evening, this sincere sadhana is important. And another, I was remembering this, the association of devotees is very important. See, by our own endeavor, I mean, it's possible, it's not impossible, but for many of us, by our own endeavor is not sufficient, we have to depend on Vaishnava's mercy. So we should, try our best and leave rest to Krishna and his devotees. And there are many incidents that they are, in our scriptures, even in our movement also. Many devotees, they even, they were sincerely, they were practicing Krishna consciousness Prabhupada's time, but at some moment they left and again they came back. But at the time of death, they found devotees over there. They're surrounded by devotees. And even if we forget Krishna at the time of death, but devotees are there to remind us about Krishna, or if the spiritual master is there, So that's why we have to try our best, and definitely it's up to devotees, spiritual master, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srila Prabhupada, and Krishna, that how at the time of death we can remember Krishna by by forgetting everything whatever we did in this material world. And when you especially spoke about grihasthas and things, we know all this philosophies and everything, but time and time it becomes very difficult for us to disassociate with all these things, especially the resultant action of our activities. So just remembering this, Priyavrata Maharaj from Srimad Bhagavatam. See, Priyavrata Maharaj, he was totally aloof from all sort of material activities, and he never wanted to enter into household life. So, when Priyavrata Maharaj, he was totally, but his father, um, Manu, Sambhav Manu, he got the responsibility from his father Brahma. You have to fulfill this world with population. So therefore, he gave this responsibility to Uttanapad. Uttanapad was ready, he had this Dhruva Maharaj and Uttam son. But Priyavrata Maharaj was reluctant. He says, my dear father, I don't want to get involved with anything in this material world. I know if I enter and if I go deal with all this material object, family, relatives, then I will, be entangled. I'll never be able to, go back to spiritual world. So Sambhav was trying to convince him, no, this is the responsibility Brahma gave to me, you should fulfill. But he wasn't convinced at all. And then Sambhav Manu had to call Brahma, his father. His father also came. And then Brahma told, Priya brother, don't worry. Why you are so much worried about entanglement and everything? So you see, your father is like your guru. He is instructing you. And I am your, kind of the grandfather. I am instructing you. You should enter into household life, but you will not be entangled. This is our promise. This is our promise. And in due course of time, after fulfilling the responsibility of your family affairs, you will be able to come back to Godhead. So that was the blessings. So what I was basically meaning is, even, it's household life or brahmachari life, whichever ashram we are in, we should, seek the blessings of Vaishnavas. Only by their blessings is possible. So, they promised actually, Priyavrata Maharaj, then only he was convinced, he has no problem. I'm just, following instructions. So even if we are no matter, even if we are in household life, we should think it, I'm just taking responsibility of my family, children's, is by the order of my spiritual master, by the order of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Srila Prabhupada. I'm just taking care of them for a certain moment. And I know after some time, nothing will belong to. They will, I will leave them. So for certain period, for temporary period, I am just taking care of them as a Krishna's property. They are Krishna's property. I am taking care of them. So that blessings of Vaishnavas are very important. So Priyavrata Maharaj, and then he completed his duty as a householder. And after that, he went back to Godhead. The description is there in Bhagavatam. So what I can say, other tips, and you asked practical tips, there can be many things. But I think, the blessings and constant association of Vaishnavas are most important. Mercy of the spiritual master is most important. Okay, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay, I think anything else from anyone? Otherwise, we can finish here.
So Hare Krishna Prabhuji, it appears there is no other comments to make, so we can close this session now. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya cha patitanam
पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
Srila Prabhupada ki, Samaveto Bhaktavinda ki, Srimad Bhagavatam.
HG Rasananda Prabhu ki.
Prabhu ki jai. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.